For an organization to maintain an effective CMMC program over time, ongoing maintenance is critical to ensure that cybersecurity posture remains aligned with the evolving threat landscape and regulatory requirements. Here are some of the key components for maintaining a successful and compliant CMMC program. First is continuous monitoring and improvement. Controls must not just be implemented, but they must be monitored to ensure that those controls remain effective and that new vulnerabilities are identified as they arise. This includes real-time tracking of network traffic and user activity and system events to detect threats and respond promptly. Continuous monitoring also includes regular audits and reviews to assess the effectiveness of implemented security controls. These reviews help identify areas of improvement and ensure that processes are followed consistently. A good example of this is the user access reviews to ensure that roles are being assigned to the correct personnel and that terminated user access is being revoked accordingly. Continuous monitoring and improvement also includes updating of policies and procedures. CMMC requires that policies and procedures be reviewed and updated at least annually. Policies must be reviewed to reflect any changes in the operating environment, technology, or threat landscape. Changes should also be made based on lessons learned from security incidents. Not only should policies and procedures be reviewed, but your risk assessment should be reviewed annually. A new risk assessment does not need to be completed annually, but the risk register and plan of action milestones should be reviewed at least quarterly to ensure that new risks are added as they are identified and that the risk remediation is occurring according to schedule. Continuous monitoring and improvement also includes employee training and awareness. The organization should continuously train employees on cybersecurity best practices and updates to the organization's policies. The training should be relevant to their roles and responsibilities, especially in protecting CUI. Types of training include annual security awareness training via learning module or in person, and it includes simulated exercises, which means conducting regular security awareness programs such as phishing simulations and incident response drills to ensure that staff are prepared for potential cybersecurity attacks. Vulnerability scanning is also a component of continuous monitoring and improvement. Ongoing vulnerability scans and penetration testing should be carried out to ensure that security gaps are identified and addressed before they can be exploited. Quarterly vulnerability scanning and annual vulnerability assessments and penetration testing is considered best practice. The system security plan should also be reviewed and updated at least annually and whenever a major change occurs in the environment. Organizations should also monitor security bulletins and regulatory updates to stay informed about any changes to CMMC requirements or to the overall threat landscape. At least annually, organizations should review and update their incident response plan. The incident response plan should also be tested annually to ensure it remains effective. This plan should define how to respond to breaches and security incidents, including containment, investigation, and recovery processes. And again, as noted in Section 1, the incident response plan should include a provision that all incidents involving CUI are reported to the Department of Defense within the required time frame, 72 hours or less, per DFARS 7012. Continuous monitoring should also include monitoring of vendors and your supply chain. Regularly evaluate and verify that subcontractors and suppliers handling CUI meet the required level of CMMC certification. Assure that they also remain compliant with NIST 800-171 requirements. Continuous monitoring and improvement also includes budgeting and resource allocation. Ensure that your organization allocates enough financial and human resources to maintain an effective CMMC program. This includes budget planning for technology upgrades, training, and continuous monitoring solutions. Finally, continuous monitoring and improvement also includes preparing for third-party assessments. For CMMC Level 2 and above, an assessment is required by a third-party organization every 3 years. In summary, ongoing maintenance of a CMMC program requires continuous monitoring, regular risk assessment review, updated documentation, frequent employee training, and constant awareness of new threats and regulatory changes. Additionally, organizations must ensure their policies, procedures, and security controls are actively managed and regularly audited to stay compliant with the CMMC framework and other applicable regulations. By maintaining these practices, organizations can effectively uphold their required cybersecurity standards and retain their CMMC certification over time. Thank you for joining our CMMC information session. If you would like to submit questions to be answered during our upcoming webinar, see the link in the description. If you have immediate questions about CMMC, see below for Abacode contact information.